the issue for China is that, first of all, China, because of COVID, because of the increased militarism, because of their perceived support for Russia vis-a-vis the Ukraine war, China's image right now among at least the sort of democratic world is at a low. And you've also had developments within China, again, sort of the reshuffling, the consolidation by Premier Xi of his power. And you know, the lingering issues that were going on before COVID, including the artificial islands, the claims about the South China Sea, those really haven't subsided. And the fear is if you don't have efforts by the Japanese government, by the U.S. government, by other Asian countries, we're going to be entering into a Cold War here in East Asia, which will be very unfortunate, I think, for everybody here. And I think the good thing in Asia is that most of the players here realize that, and so hopefully there will be efforts, again, which will also include the United States, to try to I don't know, dial back, or again, I guess the word rapprochement is probably the best word to try to lessen tensions, so that we don't slide back into a Cold War mentality, at least vis-a-vis China. Russia's a completely different animal. I think the relationship that the world is going to have with Russia after the Ukraine war is going to be very different, possibly even much worse than with the Soviet Union during the Cold War. So we'll see. Those are my thoughts.
Okay.
Stephen, if I could add that, maybe over the top 10 stories of 2022, it's of course number one is Ukraine, I would imagine, but it would be the fragility of the supplies of the supply chain, and who could possibly survive a Chinese attack invasion of Taiwan? What would that do to supply chains? And who China is more fragile, I think, in that regard. I don't want to, maybe than Japan, but even in 2022, look at the inflation and the cost of food in Japan. I think that's on the top of our list.
Yeah, I agree with you, Paul. I think it's more dramatic in the States because the numbers are in the 7 to 8% range. But as a consumer, as someone who goes to the grocery store or Costco or wherever I go, I've noticed that the prices have significantly increased, and incomes are not increasing in Japan. So that's true also in the United States. I was reading prices are going up and incomes are stable or actually trending down. So that could create more political tension and then lead to greater criticism or unpopularity of the Kishida government at this point. Taro, have you noticed the prices in the local stores in Hirakata going up as well? I certainly see that in Kobe.
Yeah, definitely things like vegetables and cheese. I think it's cheese especially. The price seems to have been going up a lot. And in terms of China, I think there are two contradictory influences. One is the Ukraine, as we discussed, the Ukraine-Russia war is increasing tensions in East Asia and between the US-Japan side and the China side. But on the other hand, it seems like domestic influences of both China and Japan seem to encourage a better economic relationship between China and Japan. So it's hard to tell which way it will actually go.
Right. Yeah, Japan is always caught between their economic interests and their number one trading partner, which is China and has been for many years, and the political realities that occur, and Japan's strong alliance with the United States, and kind of being most of the time lockstep with the United States on its political positions and so forth. So
I found it interesting how the most recent meeting between Kishida and Xi was so positive amid all the other stuff that's going on. So maybe that's because of the economic interests between the two countries. But